belong to you. I belong to you. You do just what you want. You're the one I trust.
Puts it into an area. Keo, Zamora!
And I always be around when you need some loving, baby. No one else.
Yeah.
Put you down.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sai, and welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, and this is episode 111. The show is available live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Ace Podcast Nation, of course, your home to many other great shows and series featuring top guests, expert analysts, and more. So please follow us on social media for more information on upcoming shows and guests. Subscribe to that YouTube channel to get all the shows first. Click the bell for notifications. But if you prefer your shows in audio format, you can get every single show we do, interview we do at your favourite radio and podcast platform. Links are in the description for everything. Just search Ace Podcast Nation in the platform and it'll come up. If you want to just do the football stuff, follow at AC Footy Show on all social media pages, and that will streamline your experience. And just while we wait for the chats and the various platforms that we are live on to fill up, big thank you as ever to Black Diamond Sports for all their support around the channel and the show. They're a global sports agency. They represent sports stars from around the world. For more information, visit their social media pages, links to which are in the description, and the closing credits at the end of the show. Today's sponsor, as usual, Bespoke Financial, and Mr. Darren Ralston of Bespoke Financial is giving away a free will worth £140 with any new policy which is taken out. So I urge you all to check out that deal and also all the services which they have on offer, because it is cannot miss stuff, particularly in the day and age, the COVID era, as it were. So I urge you to see if they can help you out. They can give you that cover which is needed at this time. And as we've discussed before, they look after Andy in various policies over the years, and to this day he still uses them. And speaking of the man himself, the co-host with the most, the goal collector, he is the fox in the box. He is the king of the Millennium Stadium, the QPR dream killer, David Jones' favourite son, ex-Cardiff City and Middlesbrough striker, Andy Campbell. Welcome, my friend.
Good evening, mate. Another Friday. Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday indeed.
Yeah, another enthralling week for various reasons. Championship games.
Gaz is in straight away.
Yeah, straight away. West Ham are on fire, by the way. Jesse Lingard was unbelievable the other day. More signings. Obviously, deadline day came and went. Thank God. End of a merry-go-round. So hopefully we can just focus on the rest of the season and see what joys it brings. But I've just seen tonight, obviously Swansea play Norwich City tonight. So that's a massive game. Just games are just huge in the Championship.
Yeah, the Jacks are on fire, mate. They've really looking good at the moment. Also, can someone message Gavin, because he didn't get the notification on Monday, and he messaged me yesterday and said, "Can you remind me But I'm not in charge of the Facebook notifications going out. They go out automatically. But someone send him a message, remind him that it's 7 o'clock. It's Friday, time to talk Championship, among other things. But it's exciting times, mate. Championship's starting to hot up towards the end of the season now.
Yeah, cream's starting to rise a little bit, I think.
Yes, so I think we'll have a bit of any other business to start, my friend, and we'll talk some transfers. Championship transfers. Well, mate, I think there's only one place to start, and that is Nathaniel Mendez-Laing is no longer in exile from football. He has signed for Middlesbrough on a free transfer after he was sacked by Cardiff City approximately 4 months ago. I think I'm going to start on this one, mate, just to get us rolling. I know I normally throw it to you first, but I'm irked by this. We discussed this just now a minute ago, just a little bit, but I am irked by it because obviously we had Mehmet Dalman on the football show on a Monday. They had a recent meeting with fans, the club did, where they discussed, basically saying the club is in a lot of financial difficulty. It's very difficult times, as we know, with the clubs losing £3 million a month back when we had him on the show. So then you've sacked a player with no explanation to the fans. No one knows why he was sacked officially. And then 4 months later, he's gone and trained on his own in Dubai for a few months with his his family and stuff like that. And he signed from a rival, who are is very close in the league in terms of points between Cardiff and Middlesbrough. They've also got Neil Warnock. Neil Warnock's brought him in on a free. Cardiff could have got $2 million for him in this January, which goes a bit of the way to solving the financial trouble which Cardiff City are telling the fans that they're in. Am I wrong?
The whole thing doesn't add up. There's got to be a rabbit somewhere, because footballers are possessions. The prized possessions. So he's got a value, and regardless of what he's done right or what he's done wrong, and it can't be something severely wrong, or everyone would have heard about it. This is what concerns me. So he's done something which has meant that he's had his contract terminated. His contract's been terminated, and he's been free to join the club in January because his contract's been terminated during the season. He's signed on a free transfer for another Championship club. He'll get him paid similar, if not more, money for another club, because teams are in a position where they can go for promotion, etc. He's gone to a club who he knows a manager. He's gone to a club where Middlesbrough paid decent money, wages wise, because they don't really buy many players, so they can afford to go a little bit better. I just don't like it. I don't like it because Cardiff City have been struggling for money. So why lose out on a potential transfer fee? If that's $500,000, 750,000, it's free money. Why would they waste that opportunity to sell him? If he's done something wrong, fine him, put him on the transfer list,
Suspend him.
Yeah, do something.
Suspend
put him on
him,
garden
do
leave,
something.
but to sack him and then for him to go, then be able for him to leave on a free transfer, it doesn't make sense to me. It's not a business decision, and for me, I think it could have been handled a little bit better. Unless we are not being told the whole truth and he's done something severely wrong, but then
Middlesbrough are not going to pick up someone who's got
totally agree.
Sort of serious, for
Totally
instance, and I'm not saying that this is the case. For instance, if there was some sort of police prosecution in the works, Middlesbrough are not going to sign him. Like Reece has said there, Nathaniel Mendez-Laing did an interview where he said it was his hardest year of his life. He's had a lot to overcome. And Reece says he sounds like drinking or some form of addiction. I got told something along those lines this morning from a friend of mine, and I said that there's no way in 2021 Cardiff City are sacking someone who's got any sort of like mental health or addiction issues. There would have to be some sort of breach of contract, or there was another terminology which you used, I can't remember what it was. Gross misconduct, I think I said.
Listen, Si, as well.
Something like it would have to be something like that to be.
If someone's got an
sackable.
addiction problem, though, sacking them's the worst possible thing.
How many players have we seen over the years, mate?
There's got to be
recent times.
Exactly. There's got to be a support mechanism. They've got to help people out. You know what I mean? It's there's something amiss. You know what I mean? And I do hope one day that the truth does come out, because I think supporters deserve to know the truth, and because Nathaniel Mendes-Lang was a big fan of supporters. You know, supporters loved him, the way he played. You know what I mean? He had a good interaction with fans. You know what I mean? Everyone still to this day respects him and appreciates what he did for the football club. But
so there's a question, Ange.
That respect would go if we didn't know. But and the rules that players suspended due to performance drugs kept quiet by the PFA. No, because he wouldn't be able to play now, because if he failed the drug test, he would be banned for a year. So he wouldn't be able to play now. And Middlesbrough wouldn't have touched him because he wouldn't be allowed to play. So I don't know.
Unless I can't imagine it's that, because he'd be suspended if it was drugs.
Unless it wasn't a banned substance, and there's a loophole somewhere, but then you can't sack him. So it's there's a touchy subject, and I think there's a picture which is unclear. It's very grey, very misty, and it's very. But listen, for a club's misfortune, Middlesbrough's gain. They're getting a very good footballer who for me is if not one of the best wingers in the Championship on his day. He can score goals, and he has done in the Premier League. His assist record in the Championship and in the Premier League is very good, very strong. And Middlesbrough with Balassi as well as a new signing, they've recruited really well. So all credit to Neil Warnock. He's been very shrewd in bringing him in, and the decision to get back from the chairman. So Cardiff's misfortune is obviously Neil Warnock and Middlesbrough's gain. So it's huge for them.
As usual, Cardiff's misfortune is generally brought on by themselves, as such is life. But we're all used to that. One thing, I got to say, the thing which irks me the most, so forget the reasoning and whatever it may be, is the points difference and stuff between Middlesbrough and Cardiff is not a lot. Is if Middlesbrough finish 6th and Cardiff somehow get to 7th, and Nathaniel Mendes-Lang scores 8 goals between now and the end of the season and gets a shed load of assists, that's the difference between Cardiff making the playoffs and not. Now then, you're not just talking about the financial side of it, but you're then talking about, like, you screwed yourself over on the football pitch as well.
Yeah.
And that's a problem for me, because when you combine what Neil Warnock has already done with Middlesbrough, with basically the same squad that they've had of late over the last couple of years. I know he's signed a few players now, but if he can get a tune out of Mendes-Lang, as you said, on his day, can be one of the best wingers in the league. That's a problem for me as a Cardiff fan.
No, listen, I totally agree. And Neil is. People wonder why he does so well in the Championship. Well, this is another one of those reasons why. Because he scours the transfer market. He spends hours and hours and hours, weeks and weeks and weeks looking for these players, and finds players who trust his philosophy, buy into what he does, and Nathaniel will reap the rewards. You know what I mean? He won't be match fit. He won't play a lot of football probably over the next month. He'll probably come on as sober. He might play half a game here and there, but I think in the long run, towards the end of the season, if Middlesbrough need a playoff push and they need a couple of wins and a couple of goals to get into the playoffs or to cement that playoff place, they've got an unbelievable player in that position to get that job done.
Staying on the transfer line of things, Reece says, you think that's bad. Cardiff signed Cunningham for $4 million. Today he signed for Preston after they cancelled his contract.
Yeah. And
he says the club's a shambles. But that's another one, isn't it? Like, you look at what did they sell Patterson to Sheffield Wednesday for? That was a couple of $100,000 or something.
Yeah, and listen, I think and obviously when the chairman came on the show, he spoke about a transfer committee who made the decisions, and for me, I think they could do with a little bit of help and a little bit of advice, someone to advise and give them some direction about bringing players in, letting them go, because they're losing out on a lot of money. Because if they told Preston North End that they had to pay £500,000 to get Greg, then they would have signed for £500,000 because they're desperate, because they just lost a player to Liverpool, who they got money for. So you know what I mean. So they would have been in a good position to pay that. And for me, they've lost a little bit of. You lose a little bit of faith and a little bit of respect from supporters, because you know what I mean. 1 minute they're saying they haven't got any money to bring players in, but they're letting players go and losing millions and millions and millions along the way, which doesn't look very good. It's not a business decision, Sam.
Yeah, no, 100%. On a more positive note, Boro brought in, they brought in a couple of wingers. They've brought in Cabano, Neskins Cabano. They signed Balassi as well, didn't they?
Yannick Balassi. He played last
window.
weekend. He didn't obviously leave it till the last minute of the window. But
3 great signings made there.
Yeah, well, Balassi's been rumbling on for about a year now. They've been trying to get him into the football club for a year. It hasn't managed to get him through. He went to Sporting Lisbon ahead of Middlesbrough a year ago to the window. They went on loan. They tried to get him in there in the summer. It didn't happen. Obviously, he's on a big contract at Everton, so it's a difficult one. So I think he's running out of contract in the summer. So he's in the shop window, so to speak. So I think Middlesbrough will be lucky if he plays like he did at the weekend. He won't stay at Middlesbrough too long because he was very good. He's a Premier League footballer, and you can tell he's got the quality. And if anybody follows him on Twitter, by the way, he's amazing. Follow him on Twitter. He's funny. He interacts with everybody.
It's a weird one though, mate, isn't it? Because he's not just a Premier League player. I think he's a very good Premier League player. So it's a bit bizarre, but maybe he's not as consistent. Like on his day, he's phenomenal, but maybe he's not as consistent.
Consistency is the key, Si. You know what I mean? It's the hi Gav.
Nice
consistency.
Turn up,
It is. Yeah. Keep coming, Gav. We cheer you up, mate. Don't worry. We'll cheer you up. It's about getting the best players that you can get, you know. And I look at some of the signings. I wonder, will teams spend money? Will teams bring people in? And I was quite surprised with the amount of players. But a lot of teams have gone down the route of bringing players in from the Premier League who aren't getting games and game time, like Balassi, like other players. Henry Lansbury, for example, dropped out in the Championship, and there's some very good players who've moved over the last week. It's very interesting. They're very good.
What do you make of Johnny Williams signing for Cardiff City? Welsh international.
I like
playing
him,
for Wales. He's probably playing his best football.
Yeah, I like him. I like how technically very good he is. I like that his effort, his enthusiasm. He's obviously an undoubtable, very good technically good footballer. His assist record's good. He scores goals from wide and from deep. I don't let his size.
Creative.
You don't let his size mislead you. You know what I mean? I watched the Netflix Sunderland Netflix shambolic program, and obviously he signed during that time, and I just couldn't believe how good he was. You know what I mean? Seeing him training, seeing him in games, and he just looked very strong. And obviously when he got he got moved to Charlton, he's played for Ipswich, he's played for some very good football clubs, very big football clubs, and with him being Welsh, I think the Cardiff fans will relate to. They'll give him a great opportunity. I think he'll take that pressure off Wilson, Tomlin especially, and hopefully if he can get a tune out of all three. Will it be a better 3 behind a 1? Not for me.
No. It'd be interesting because arguably Tomlin, Johnny Williams and Harry Wilson, their best position, they all play 10. Like, that's their best position. But if Mick McCarthy was able to find a formation to get all 3 in and all 3 play in, then of course it would be phenomenal, but you'd have to be quite creative to do that. But also, as Reece makes a point, the football which Cardiff play probably doesn't suit players that are technically very good. But maybe Mick McCarthy might change that.
Listen, philosophies can change. Formations obviously have changed. You know what I mean? One thing I like about Mick is he wasn't scared to change it when they were 2-0 down in the first game. And then he went with his tried and tested for the home game. With the 3 at the back or 5 at the back, whichever way you look at it. Yes, he changed personnel. He brought Joe Bennett back in. I think we're going to talk about it, but managers aren't scared. Experienced managers aren't scared to make these big decisions, and I think supporters will really respect Mick and respect that he's not scared to change things if they're not working, and bring off a big player and not play a big player. And I think that's key. You know what I mean? With him letting go of Gratzel was a big call, by the way, because Cardiff are crying out for another attacking goal scoring player. So
do you not think it leaves them short with strikers?
Yeah, it probably does. It leaves them. I use the word bare because or thin, because they back up his young players, and to put pressure on a young player if Kiefer gets injured again and pulls a hamstring, then your whole season's going to rely on young players to get them the goals that they need to go up, and I think that's unfair. But I'm hoping that they can stay fit. If he's only going to play one and play three behind, then we've got an opportunity. Cardiff are going down. Cardiff have got no chance to go down.
Mick McCarthy's a legend. He's staying up. He'll keep him up. They'll probably win the league with Mick McCarthy in charge. always said he was the right man for the job.
Can't take him seriously.
No, he's look. Johnny Williams apparently had a bump in training and is probably out for tomorrow already. That is the worry with him, is that he's very not injury prone, but his injury record is not.
Anyone's allowed to.
He hasn't played as well, has he? So that's going to add to that.
To miss games. You know what I mean? Kiefer Moore's missed half a season with injury, and he's still one of the top goal scorers in the championship. Which, you know what I mean?
Kiefer Moore gets injured, we're in trouble, man.
Well, it can happen, can't it?
Gavin there, that's a shout. He said he'd play Harry Wilson up front.
He'd hold the ball up. He would hold the ball up very well.
I think he would be better up front than he is out wide.
He wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't be able to hide up there. He'd have to change his game a little bit. He'd have to fight a little bit more. He'd have to show that he cares and look like he cares.
Could you see him playing like for the one that springs to mind recently is Cavani's movement, playing up front on his own in the middle, but doesn't play as a target man. Like he runs the channels, drops in deep, does very different movement to a target man.
You've got to be.
I can see Harry Wilson doing that.
You've got to be very selfish to do that. There's a lot of unselfish running.
To do that,
what I mean?
Yeah,
because listen, you do a lot of. I did it for years, and you run a lot. You run in the channel for the sake of running the channel. You hold the ball up. You lay out wide for someone else to cross the ball in. You know that like there's nothing fun sometimes in doing that. You don't get a lot of credit for it. You know what I mean? Fans probably don't see it. They see, oh, Campbell hasn't scored again. You know what I mean? But it's not a case of that. It's doing a job for the team, and it's unselfish play. And who put that comment in there about anyone can go down? Of course, yeah, Garant. Anyone can go down. I totally agree. But my opinion is Cardiff won't go down. There's Wycombe Wanderers. There's too many. Sheffield Wednesday. There's too many teams in this division this year
who will go down.
Who will go down before them. So you know what I mean. Of course, anyone can go down. Middlesbrough can go down. Still,
I would say before Mick McCarthy came in, and as you know, Mick McCarthy was not my choice by any means. If they'd kept Harris for another 10 games, I was starting to get a bit twitchy. Moving on away from Cardiff for a second, mate. Jason Tindall sacked.
Don't get it.
From Bournemouth. Ridiculous
Don't get it.
Decision. What a way to treat one of your own.
A few strange decisions that came out of Bournemouth over the last couple of days. Obviously, that was a big one. They lost a good couple of players. They lost Dan Gosling to Watford, which is a very strange sell because he's gone to a rival Championship club, and you know, I mean, he scores goals from midfield. They lost Josh King to Everton, which is a massive loss because yes, he hasn't played a lot of football, but if they could have got a tune out of him, they could have gone back to the Premier League, and they lost Simpson to Rangers as well. So, and then they're going to lose the manager. Yes, they brought Jack Wilshere in, which will be a great signing. I don't know if Jonathan will get their full-time job. He's interim manager at the minute. He went in to be an assistant manager, or did he go in as assistant manager? I don't know. All I know is the pressure is on Bournemouth because they're expected to do well with the size of the squad they've got and the players they've got, and the amount of money that they generated in the summer was astronomical. You know what I mean? So they're financially sorted for years to come. But you know what I mean? It's about the results on the pitch, and it's about getting back to the Premier League. And until they're back in it, you know what I mean? They're going to be, the longer they're not in the Premier League, it's going to be a scrap for like it is for Cardiff City and everybody else.
But am I missing something? Like, are they? So Bournemouth is 6th. Okay, Norwich, Brentford, Swansea are the standout teams. So they're where they are for a reason. Reading are always up and thereabouts. Watford down from the Premier League. And then Bournemouth. Like, how much better do Bournemouth think that they should be doing in the current climate and the current way the league is? I'm not entirely sure it makes sense.
I would love to see what the expectation was when Jason got the job. I've known Jason for a very long time. I came across Jason probably when I turned around 30, so probably a good 10, 11 years. And Jason's a good footballing man. Loves coaching. He always had a sensible head on his shoulder. I think he's very good at what he does. Being a manager is very different to being a coach and assistant manager, of course. But I thought he was doing a good job. I thought and bringing people in like Jack Wilshere. Where does that leave Jack? Because Jack was brought in by Jason. Jack's first interview was all about Jason and how impressed he was by a young manager, fresh approach, and then that interview now looks stupid because will Jack lose interest? Will the new manager, if it's Woodgate, if it's someone else, will they not want to play him because he doesn't suit their philosophy, the way they play? Because some people don't like players who play. If they're going to go direct, what's the point of having Jack Wilshere in the team? Pointless. So it's a very intriguing situation to be had at Bournemouth. Or are they going to go down a different route? That like the biggest name around there at the minute. What I'm hearing is Harry Redknapp. Harry's a local Bournemouth man, ex-Bournemouth manager. He lives in the area. He would go back at a heartbeat, I believe, and that'll be an unbelievable signing for that football club.
Yeah, spot on, mate. I think Gavin says maybe they're expecting miracles. Were you surprised to see Jonathan Woodgate go in there as caretaker manager? He's not necessarily one of the more experienced managers that you perhaps expect to see.
I'd be surprised if he doesn't get the job full time, unless he's in interim charge for 4 games and he wins all 4 games. That's what I mean. They play Birmingham tomorrow, I believe. It's a strange one. It's a strange one that he got the job as an assistant, and then the manager gets sacked a couple of days later. How does that make him feel? Is there a bigger picture to it? Was he brought in by the chairman to take over? Who knows?
Yeah, it's a weird one. Couple of signings. Norwich let striker Dermich go away on loan to Wojciech, I think you say it. Stoke signed their defender Harry Suter on a new contract. Good, that is. I think he's been pretty good. What else do we have? I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else signed.
Gaz will be able to give us an insight. So Brentford signed Winston Reid, centre half from West Ham. So that's a big signing because for me their attacking prowess is brilliant. You know what I mean? They've been struggling defensively over the last probably 6 months. So be interesting to see how that one goes, because with him and some of the other centre halves they've got and defenders they've got now, they could be a real strength and a real threat to the league.
Yeah, I think I do think.
Well, Bristol City, Henry Lansbury.
How many players did they sign? 16.
Bristol City, yeah, it's just inundated with players. There was a few loan players brought in, but
Chris Martin's out though for 2 months, and he with a hamstring injury I saw, so that's a big blow.
Yeah.
But yeah, their squads, but they must only have about 45 players in there now.
Yeah, how they get 11 out is beyond me.
Yeah, must be struggling.
Wayne Rooney did some good business. You know, he brought Patrick Roberts from Middlesbrough. Well, not from Middlesbrough, from Man City. Lee Gregory from Stoke City. Edmondson from Rangers. He got a couple of lads on loan from Everton and Man United. Young players. So, you know what I mean. He's obviously targeted areas which he needs to improve. So Wayne's done some decent business.
Yeah, on the just on the note of Derby, best wishes to Derby midfielder Christian Bilicic, because he suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury in his right knee for the second time in just over a year. So best wishes to him, because that is
not nice. Yeah, not nice.
Brutal. What else we got? Kay Child says, I'm sure he saw Glenn Murray. Did he go to Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, good signing.
Did that come off in the end?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, for a free transfer. So.
That's a bit of business, isn't it?
It will be if he plays 2 men up front, because now they've got potentially the 3 best centre forwards in the division on paper.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous when you consider their league position.
Graben, Lyle Taylor, and Glenn Murray.
Jesus. When you over the last 5 years, those 3 have probably been in the top 3 strikers in the Championship.
Outrageous! Yeah, outrageous. Listen, if I know they probably pushed the boat out for Glenn because of the position they're in. Obviously, the manager knows Glenn from his days at Brighton, so you know what I mean. It was probably a no-brainer that he was going to go there. So there's always a story behind why. So it'd be interesting to see how that one unfolds. But I don't believe Nottingham Forest will go down because of that kind of signing.
Yeah. Okay. Last bit on any other business. I wanted to say, kind of tie this in with Reese's comment. Reece says Brentford kept hold of Ivan Toney, which is probably better than a signing anyone. And I would say that about a few teams who've kept hold of their big players, particularly Blackburn. have kept hold of about their sort of main three. But obviously, Adam Armstrong, I didn't realise he is only 23.
Yeah, well, I knew
they've done
I knew
great to keep him.
Yeah, I knew
and they're
of Adam.
trying to tie him down as well.
I knew of Adam as a young player at Newcastle, 16, 17, banging the goals in for the youth team. Watched it for the reserves a couple of times. He was really good. He got released at a young age. He went to Coventry City on loan. So he's learned the hard way. He's had some ups, he's had some downs, but now he's reaping the rewards of playing regular football at a young age, and he can make a real name for himself. And I'll be surprised if that boy's not playing in the Premier League by come next season, because if Ollie Watkins is doing it, and I don't like to compare players because I think it's unfair, but Adam's doing a fabulous job in for me, and not as good side as Ollie was doing last year. So it'd be interesting to see if he can make the step up or make it as easy as Ollie Watkins did for Villa.
Yeah, yes, 100%. That is interesting. I don't know how true it is. Leslie Coates says, I heard Steven Gerrard might be going to Spurs as manager if Mourinho goes. I tell you, well, one thing I will say, I cursed Spurs because about, I think, 2 months ago, whenever we did all those Premier League predictions, I said I could see Spurs winning something just because of how Jose Mourinho is. He's got a point to prove, and they were looking real good. They've had a couple of big injuries, and all of a sudden they look dire. The last 2 weeks, they have looked terrible. I don't think Steven Gerrard goes to any other Premier League club except Liverpool ever, or certainly before he gets the Liverpool job, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, though. Excuse me, sorry. Cough right into the mic. So, that's any other business for this evening. We are now going to have a look at the Championship games, but before we do that, quick word from our sponsor.
My mummy and daddy have been talking about life insurance. It sounds like something to protect my brother and me, but I don't really understand. Then my Auntie Louise told Mummy about Bespoke Financial Teesside. She said they're a local company who helped her with her life insurance. Mummy got in touch, and because they're based locally, a man called Darren was able to come to our house. He was really friendly. Darren stayed for a cup of tea and made it all really easy to understand. He said that life insurance will protect our home and family if anything bad were to happen. Like if Mummy or Daddy got sick, then we'd get enough money to take care of us, and our house would be paid for so we wouldn't get taken away. After an hour, Darren said goodbye and Mummy and Daddy seemed a lot happier. Once it was all sorted, we could all relax and watch a film together as a family. I don't know why they didn't do it sooner.
Yeah, big thank you to Bespoke Financial. Bespoke Financial specialise in life insurance, critical illness, income protection, mortgages and sports cover. As I mentioned, they got a special offer on at the moment earlier on in the show. So please check them out. And of course, we thank them for sponsoring the show. And just also a quick word, welcome to any Away Day Radio listeners, because I know they've recently shared the link for the show. And so welcome to all of you guys if you're tuning in now for the first time to talk some Championship football. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Click the bell and you'll be able to keep up to date on upcoming shows and guests, including the Andy Campbell Football Show on Monday, where last week, Andy, we had a belter, and this Monday we have another one.
Yes, we do. We've got a good friend of mine. I came across this guest right at the start of my career. He was playing for Hartlepool United at the time, and I came across his dad. His dad was a good football coach, good football man. But our guest on Monday was ex-Hartlepool United midfielder and Ipswich Town hero and legend Tommy Miller. So to be a very good one. And Tommy's current, I think he might even be interim manager at Spennymoor because Jason's left his post. So, but he's definitely assistant manager to Jason Ainsley before. But he's a proper footballing man. He's very passionate about what he does. So yeah, really looking forward to this one.
Good stuff. Yeah, I can't wait. We've got some great guests over the next couple of days. Next couple of shows, it's going to be phenomenal. And of course, we've got the MMA shows and all the other phenomenal stuff. So tune in, check it out. But let's have a look then, and at last weekend's Championship football. So we had the full fixtures on Saturday. but midweek was only partial.
Handful.
Partial fix, I wanna.
Saturdays wasn't great, to be honest. There wasn't a lot of goals, apart from
Rubbish.
if you take one game out of it. Obviously, it was a standout game with plenty of goals. But the weekend started with Norwich against Middlesbrough. It was the early kickoff. Everybody's telling me that Middlesbrough would win. It was never going to happen. It wasn't a very good game. I was very dull, very bored. Middlesbrough set up to defend. Norwich set up to score one goal. And didn't really happen for both teams. So Middlesbrough will be happy out of the two. Obviously, getting a clean sheet. Norwich were huffing and puffing, and then they had a man sent off for 2 yellows. He deserved a red card, but Neil will be happy. Got to get a point on the road.
Indeed, yeah, I think so. I think any team playing Norwich at the moment is probably taking a point, mate. At the end of the day, they're just that good. Birmingham City, I think, are doing pretty well this year. They drew with Coventry and Bella, one of my players of the season so far.
Yeah, strange game, because obviously it was the St Andrews derby, so to speak. So both games are playing at St Andrews, and it must be difficult because they're playing behind closed doors, getting changed in different changing rooms. So yeah, listen, a local derby, an important game. But one thing I will say, Mark Robbins has done a fantastic job. Keep saying it week in, week out. Can't underestimate how good of a job he's done. One about managers, by the way, who are standing out. He is impressing me every single week with the way that he attacks games, the way that he goes for games and goes for results, because they could easily sit and defend or try to defend like Wickham do and like other teams do from coming up, and they don't do that. They try and win the football match, which is probably Luton and Barnsley-esque from last year.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Coventry City. I love the way Birmingham have gone about their business over the last couple of years. Obviously, we talked about last season a lot, and the season before. The end of the season before. I like their young squad full of academy players, and just the way they go about their business, mixed with a little bit of experience. But Coventry and Mark Robbins have just come up, and it's like there's no intimidation or anything about it. It's just, we're going to just play our way, we're going to go about it, we're going to try and win football matches. And that's what I like, is they're not trying to accrue draws and just pick up points where they can. They are looking for wins. Yes, didn't come off against Birmingham, but I like it. My worry for them would be is if another club is going to be looking for a manager, i.e. Cardiff City, just for an example, are they going to look at Mark Robbins? If they're doing their due diligence, mate, they'll at least have a look at him.
Oh, listen, you've got to give credit where credit's due, and he's had a bit of a he's earned his stripes as Mark. You know what I mean? He's had some tough jobs and learnt the hard way and battled through. You know what I mean? Being the Coventry manager looks like a good job and a big job. It's a big club, history, but they haven't got their own ground. It's so difficult, you know. And so there must be transfer implications and money obligations and issues in his way. But you know what? He gets on with it. He's professional, and gets the job done, which is the most important bit.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Next up, Blackburn Rovers 1, Luton Town 0.
Yeah, listen, any clean sheet in the Championship's a good result. But Luton have turned the tide this season. They attack in a different way. They score a lot more goals. So for Blackburn to keep a clean sheet, which doesn't happen very often, by the way, because they're quite gung-ho, so to speak, and they score a lot of goals but let a lot in at the same time. So Tony will be pleased to get that victory. Closer than probably expected and wanted it to be, but Blackburn are probably underachieving still. I still expect them to have a push for the playoffs or towards the top 10. But listen, we have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. As you know, mate, I thought Blackburn were going to do particularly well this year. Luton I've been impressed with, man. I think they're having a good season.
Yeah, they're doing great.
They look like they're going to be comfortably safe, which I'm happy to say, a proper football club, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I'd like them to keep going. Blackburn, I'm a little bit disappointed with them. The squad, the players they brought in, and the squad that they already had, I was expecting a run for top 3. I got to be honest. I thought they were that good, but there's still time. Still time, my friend. Still time.
Yeah, I agree.
But beating Luton, though, mate, no mean feat at the moment.
No.
Listen, you've got to do it. You've got to beat who's in front of you.
And listen, Si, you know what I mean? The way the game panned out and scoring a late goal again, you know what I mean? Adam Armstrong again, you know what I mean? So Tony probably would have taken a 0-0 draw, but kept Adam Armstrong because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People get this reputation for scoring late goals. It would have been interesting to see if they did get a bit of the window for him, and or if everybody was scared off by a huge transfer fee.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Brentford 7.
Yeah.
Wickham Wanderers 2.
It's funny, you know. I watched Sky Sports Wednesday night. Gareth Ainsworth was on, talking about the game, and do you know what? He was very upbeat, very professional. He was absolutely amazing. He said that it wasn't a 7-2 game, and I watched the highlights, and you know, 2-2 at half time, absolutely fantastic. You know, 1-0 down, 1-1, 2-1 down, got back to 2-2 just before half time, and then all of a sudden the second half starts, and you find yourself 4-2 down after an hour, and then the game dies off a little bit. You know what I mean? And then to concede 3 goals in the last 9 minutes is where your problem lies. Because for me, Si, you've already lost the game. So 4-2 doesn't look too bad. You know what I mean? You'll take it on the chin. You go to the training ground tomorrow on Monday and you get on with it. But 4-7 doesn't need to happen for me. You know what I mean? You don't need to go and try and win the game because you're not going to get back in the result. You know what I mean? For me, just shut up shop, finish the game, take the defeat, and move on. But 7 must knock confidence severely, unfortunately.
Well, another team did similar on Tuesday or Wednesday. They didn't shut up shop when they had a player sent off, and they paid for it. They didn't shut up shop when they were 4-0 down at half time, and they paid for it. And I felt like Wickham Wanderers did exactly. They fell into the same trap in that they were multiple goals down and didn't.
Why does it keep happening? What do managers, players, coaches? What do they think? Do they think we've got to go for it to appease supporters? You know what I mean? Because you're going to lose the game anyway. So,
but every big manager, whether it be Jose, Fergie, whoever, everyone's taken a big beating on their day once upon a time. And what the top managers do is when they go 4-0 down, they make sure 9 times out of 10 that it doesn't get embarrassing or more embarrassing than a 4-0 win. And they'll play on the break and they'll sit in, make sure it doesn't get to 5, 6, 7, and then if they can pinch a goal or two or whatever it may be. Is it naivety? Is it inexperience at this level? Are Brentford just that good? Maybe probably a combination of all those things.
I think it's a combination. I wouldn't look too much into it. Listen, confidence of players. You know what I mean? You let the 5th goal in. Yeah. It's 5. It's quite a big number anyway. So 6 and 7 really count if you get the 5 and 6. But for me, don't let it get past 4. You know what I mean? You've lost the game already. Just move on. Shut up shop.
Yeah. At the end of the day, mate, it's Wickham are not going to be staying up, winning the games against Brentford. They're not the games which they're expecting to win or hoping to win and get points from. No. The games which they need to get points from are the teams in and around them at the end of the day.
Totally agree.
So it'll be interesting to see. Wickham have got to react positively to that because it is a big, heavy loss. Next up, Cardiff City versus Millwall, my friend. Oh dear.
Yeah, listen. Obviously, the manager changed formation. He went to 5 at the back, which didn't surprise me with the way that the game went previously. He brought Aidan Flint, Sean Morrison and Nelson played as the 3, which is 3 obviously strong players. Obviously, Aidan scored an own goal. You know what I mean? Cardiff City losing again, had to come back. It's disappointing. So they can't keep doing it. But for me, the amount of chances they had on goal,
you said that though in the game before, that it's a positive. How many chances they created.
You've got to look at the positives. The positives are for me. They dominated the game after they were behind. The chances are created, the set pieces are created, the amount of time they had in the opponent's box. They got the equaliser, so they're still unbeaten under the new manager. Listen, you can look at the negatives as well, that they haven't won a game in 2 games. But for me, I think you've got to look at the positives. And you can't really judge somebody with somebody else's players. He's still getting to know players. He's used already a number of players, which obviously surprises everybody because he's trying to get the right fit in the right areas. He's trying to get the right fit for the right formation. He's trying to find the best possible solution to get the results on the pitch. And at the minute, he's doing all right. You know what I mean? You can only judge on on what he's doing. And for me, I'm quite impressed with what he's done. I like the fact that he's changed formation twice in 2 games. So I'm intrigued tomorrow to see what he does. Because if you're an opposing manager, does he play 3? Does he play 4? Does he? Yeah. What's he going to do? And if he doesn't, then who's going to second guess him the week after? Because then he could go back to somewhere else. He could refer back to another one. That's the sign of a good manager for me. He's certainly got the players to do well. He's certainly got some good players to put in certain areas. You know what I mean? But yeah, I agree with what you said earlier on about being a little bit thin up top. If he's going to overuse Kiefer Moore, for example, because he's his main centre forward, he's going to have to keep playing him. I just hope that he stays injury free, because he's already had an injury this year, which is with his hamstring. And normally his injury like that can reoccur, and I hope they don't. I just don't want to tempt fate.
Yeah, Cardiff be in trouble, I think, if Kiefer Moore gets in like a long-term sort of injury which keeps him out for a few games, because we haven't got any strikers now. Look, whilst I agree with everything you just said, and I am happy that Mick McCarthy isn't just going with the norm, like the team and the players that Neil Harris has been playing. He's trying to find what he likes and his fit and his formation and personnel. I love that. I'm glad of that. I'm glad that he's not just reverting to type. But you don't win points for possession, time in the box, chances created. You have to make it count. Cardiff have good enough players to make those chances, to convert those chances and make that possession and stuff count. And they just need to get it right. And like you said, like someone mentioned earlier, like jokingly, about Cardiff being relegated. For me, if Kiefer Moore gets injured, we could be in trouble, because I don't see anyone else scoring the goals that he's scored now. We did sign Waters, though, didn't we? From that League One striker. So you never know what you're going to get with him.
From Crawley, and it's not wanting to put too much pressure on somebody's side. That's the thing for me there. You know, he's still only young. He's done well in League One, but to come.
To be a lot of pressure on him
to come to the Championship is a different animal, and it's a big jump. Managers say it's a big jump, players say it's a big jump. So you know, I mean, you've got to give him an opportunity and a chance to find his feet, so to speak.
Yeah, Leslie, I'll get to your question in just a minute. Derby County 1, Bristol City 0. We're going to speed up a bit now, mate.
Good result for Derby. I think Bristol City massively underachieved all year, but got an early goal from Kazim Richards, experienced centre forward. Really good result for Derby. It got them out the bottom 3, and with the signings that they've made, I think they can look a little bit higher up the table for me now, with Wayne in charge.
Rob Lay, we discussed that right at the start of the show, in Any Other Business, in detail, in fact, the Mendes Lang stuff, so I won't kind of go back over the same thing again, but we spent a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes on it. It's the first thing we talked about, I believe, so you'll have to check back, I'm afraid, my friend. But thank you for joining us from Australia. There's another accent for you. My accent's made to Scottish, Irish, Australian.
Was that Australian?
Fire.
Was that Australian?
Of course it was Australian. Was it? You thought I was bloody Shane Mangle from Neighbours then. Come on. Come on. Mangle.
That's a blast from the past, that one.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's when I blast out the Scouse one, you want to be worried. I got a phenomenal Scouse accent, by the way. Huddersfield 1, Stoke City 1.
Yeah, another red card for Stoke City as well. You know what I mean? Disappointing. Obviously, they came from behind. Stephen Fletcher got the equaliser. Norrington Davies got himself sent off with a straight red card. Stoke have drawn too many games. For me, Stoke City need to win more football matches. If they've got aspirations to get in the playoffs and beyond, they can't afford to keep drawing. You know what I mean? I know that they're 10th in the league, but they've drawn so many games. It's quite scary.
Yeah, it is. With their squad as well.
They've drawn 3 out of the last 5, and that's, you know what I mean. It's they haven't won in the last 9. You know,
madness,
it's
madness. I know we've just been on Derby, but I'm just going to skip back to them because Clive Firth just sent in a question about Derby. He said, "What do you think of Derby signing Lee Gregory on loan?" And then he said, "Another ex-Shayman."
Yeah, obviously I know Clive really well. Close friend of mine. Lee Gregory, another ex-Halifax Town player. I think it's a really good signing, Clive. I really do. I think quite shrewd in bringing him in. He'll get more game time than he was doing it at Stoke City. I think with the players that Derby have, you've got your Waghorns, you've got your Kazim Richards. I think he'll fit in really well. He's a goal scorer. He scored a lot of goals for Millwall, so I believe that he needs to play. How can you? I go back to my main point. I always say, how can you score goals when you're sat on your backside? It's impossible. So, he needs to play, and when he does play, he will score goals. Because I know Clive will tell me if I'm wrong here, but I'm sure that Lee Gregory had a great track record with one Jamie Vardy when he played for Halifax Town.
I think it's a cracking signing. I do, Lee Gregory. Dean Lawrence, will come back to your question along with someone else's. I think it was Leslie's after we've done the games, mate. But we will not. I won't miss it. So let's go. Next up, Barnsley versus Forest. Forest may have 3 of the best Championship strikers of recent times, mate, but they can't score for toffee.
No, listen, but when you're only playing one of them up front, this week he played Lewis Grabbin. And Lyle Taylor was on the bench and didn't come on. So you're bringing another centre forward in. Are you going to play 2 and give yourself a better chance to score goals? Are you going to keep reverting to the 1, which is, for me, is quite negative. They're not scoring enough goals side. They need to win games. And for me, at home to Barnsley, that was an opportunity for them to get all 3 points because they've got the players, but the results are what's counting at the minute.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Barnsley now winless for 5 games after what was a spectacular run for a while. I think they'll be all right, though, mate. They've accrued enough wins early in the season that they can afford to have a few draws now and maybe have their little wobble, because I think they did well enough early on, mate, which is not always the case with them. Not sure how much trouble they could find themselves in if the run was to keep going. But when you look at past seasons, Barnsley have been right in the relegation mix, and they're 12th now, sitting pretty, mate. Like Luton Town, innit? Those two were fighting for relegation last year.
Yeah.
And they're, like I say, their early season form this year has probably meant that they're safe this year already, which I think is phenomenal.
No, it's an amazing achievement so far.
One form team and one team which has been impressive. Rotherham 1, Swansea City 3.
Oh, listen, I watched Rotherham against Middlesbrough and they absolutely blew them away, so I was expecting them to give Swansea a game. But Swansea blew them away, especially in the first half. I thought they were excellent. We're on about signing side and players making a difference. Conor Houlihan made a huge difference to Swansea. He complements the way they play. He's amazing with the way they do it, and it's fantastic. Rotherham got back in the game on 65 minutes, and then Fulton came on in 74 and scored straight away from his first touch. So substitutions don't get any better than that as well. So Swansea are doing something right. They're on fire. Big game for them tonight against Norwich City, but let's see how they fare against the best sides as well.
They're going to win the league, mate. Rob Lay's joining us from Australia. I just want to wish him well. It's 4 a.m. there. He's not sleeping very well because he's had neck surgery and some bone taken off his hip and put into his neck with a steel plate. I know only too well what it's like to have spinal fusion and spinal surgeries. It is not pleasant. So get well soon, mate, and we appreciate you using us to take your mind off the pain, my friend.
Fantastic
get well
effort.
Soon. As I quietly said just now, I've got a bad feeling about who's going to win the league, mate.
Listen, you've got to give them credit. You know what I mean? Apart from one game this season against Derby, they've been the standout performers. So, you know what I mean? Against Cardiff, the tactics were picture perfect, and they've done it so many times this season. Away from home, they're excellent. So, let's see if it continues.
Spot on. Sheffield Wednesday 1. Preston North End 0, mate.
Yeah, surprised with how that game went. Liam Palmer got the winning goal just before half time. Keeping clean sheet.
When I see Liam Palmer,
which doesn't happen.
Mate. Sorry to interrupt you, but when I see Liam Palmer and Sheffield Wednesday, I automatically think, is that Carlton Palmer's son? It's probably not, but it's just the thought of it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Obviously, he was legendary for Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'll find out now. But you go back to it. Sorry, mate, for interrupting you.
Yeah, no, I just
such a benign question.
It's a great result. You know what I mean? They don't keep many clean sheets, Sheffield Wednesday, and Preston are free scoring. So it's for me, I think it's quite a freak result, and there were some good results apart from Wickham for the bottom sides on Saturday. So I think the bottom half probably did a little bit better than the top half.
Yeah, yes, I think so. So then we moved on to the midweek. It's the only partial fixtures. We had Rotherham smashed Derby 3-1, which I was very... Oh, sorry, that's the Wednesday, mate. Ignore me. We'll come back to that one.
Millwall Norwich on the Tuesday was the first one.
BBC set the results up really weird, where they...
Millwall Norwich was the early one on Tuesday. And another 0-0 draw for Norwich. Disappointed, you know what I mean? They keep more clean sheets, which is impressive, but they need more goals. They need to bring more goals to the party. But listen, they're having a great season, unbeaten in quite a long time, and which is fantastic for them, really. You know what I mean? But they're obviously a big game tonight now, which will separate the week from the chaff, so to speak.
Indeed. So then next up we had Bournemouth versus Sheffield Wednesday. With Sheffield Wednesday, who've been struggling to get the old points on the board.
Yeah, well, we spoke about
picking up a win.
Spoke about obviously the beating Preston and then the goal there in confidence. Callum Patterson scores after 44 minutes just before half time, and then Bournemouth get back level through a Stanislas penalty. And you think it's going to be only one winner, but then Jordan Rhodes pops up in the last minute, scores the winner, and Jason Tindall loses his job. And you know what I mean? It's a fantastic week for Sheffield Wednesday. 6 points, which it gives them an opportunity to stay up now. You know, we take them 6 points off them, it leaves them with 19 points. Now they've got 25. It just looks so different. Our week can change a club's fortune.
Yeah, things, especially in the Championship, they change so quickly, mate, don't they? Things. Nottingham Forest picked up a couple of goals and a win. Lewis Grabham and an own goal was enough to beat Coventry City. Yeah,
listen, we say about changing formations and things. Obviously, said how good Mark Robbins has done. I still think he has. Lewis Grabham got the equaliser, and then an own goal from Rose. Was the difference between the sides? He went for Grabham up front again. Lyle Taylor was sub, didn't get on again. That's 2 games he hasn't got on, so he'll be disappointed. But especially with the new signing coming in, it'll cause competition for places, but it'll push players on. Lewis Grabham will know he needs to perform now because he'll have people breathing down his neck, and competition for places is always a good thing.
Indeed. We missed out the Monday game, which I'll go back to now, but Wickham drew with Birmingham City 0-0.
Listen, for what happened to Wickham on Saturday, I think this is a fantastic result to keep a clean sheet. So from letting 7 into to drawing 0-0 is a great result and a great return. Yes, Gareth will be disappointed because Birmingham had a man sent off, but I think the bigger picture is after letting 7 in, back on the training ground, keeping a clean sheet is a fantastic achievement.
And then the Monday game was Watford 1, QPR 2.
Yeah, well, obviously our guest on Monday will have been delighted. In the end, obviously Charlie Austin got the equaliser, and then Albert Dormer scored the winner in the 90th minute. Troy Deeney scored a penalty. A freak result, but I think that just sums up QPR all over, really. That they can have a very poor season and then go and beat Watford away from home. So it's the Championship in a nutshell, I think.
They got some players, mind. Albert Adoma, I feel like he scored a couple of 90-minute goals recently. I might be wrong. Definitely, I think he scored at least one other goal and then a winner in the 90th minute recently. I'll have to check that in a minute. And then the Wednesday, we start with Rotherham beat Derby 3-1. Bit of a shock, mate. But Rotherham have been pretty solid all season, even though their league position says otherwise.
Yeah, listen, the three latest goals as well. The first goal in 76, and then 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. And Wayne won't be happy. You know that he'll have expected to go there and win that game. And he integrated a couple of his new players. It didn't work out, so he'll be back on the training ground because that was a 6-pointer. You know, when you're playing against sides who, yes, Rotherham have picked up, but they're still potentially going to be in and around there.
Indeed, mate. So I was just looking at that. Yeah, it's a bad result, that is, for Derby, isn't it? But equally, it's a good result for Rotherham to go and beat someone like Derby. But as I said earlier, it's probably not going to be beating the likes of Derby and Watford and Brentford or Norwich that are going to keep these teams up. They've got to get those points against the teams up and around them.
They've got their own little league table side, and as long as they beat the teams in and around them, they should be okay. Yeah,
absolutely, mate. Brentford 3, Bristol City 2.
Oh, an amazing game. Bristol City went ahead after a couple of minutes, and then Brentford turned it around just before half time. Canos scored a hat-trick at Cardiff City, didn't he, about a month ago? And then Ivan Toney, and then Godot scored Listen, Bristol City just massively underachieve. I can't work them out. You've got a huge squad, but they let loads of goals in, score a lot of goals as well. But they never seem to. They're just flattered to deceive all of the time.
Yes, indeed. It's such a weird one because they've got such a strong, big squad full of proven Championship talent.
Yeah.
And they just cannot get any sort of run together. I've scoured the internet up and down, and I cannot find any evidence in Liam Palmer's family tree that Carlton Palmer
it's a good
is any
rumour.
relation.
It's a good rumour.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to. I'm going to start that now. Everyone who watches this show, tell at least one person that Liam Palmer is related to Carlton Palmer, and we'll see how far it goes.
Yeah, just don't tag me. Just don't tag me on Twitter. Or anything.
Don't tag Andy at Andy Campbell 32. And that is the Championship football for the week. Obviously today we have Swansea versus Norwich, which kicks off in about 10 minutes. So, Cade Childs wants to know, do you have a Cardiff or Boro badge tattoo?
I don't have one tattoo at all.
I do.
Naked.
Yeah, so no tattoos for you.
Naked.
Dean Lawrence asked who we think is going to get promoted from the Championship and who we think is going to get relegated. But before you answer that, Leslie asked, what do we think the score in the Middlesbrough game tomorrow will be?
Listen, you can only go on your last performance. I thought Saturday was a very good display. Obviously, playing Brentford tomorrow is a different animal. The way that they attack. Will Neil try and win the game? Will he set up the same way that he did at Norwich and try and not lose the game? I think for me, Brentford are on fire the way that they're scoring goals. So for me, I can't see Middlesbrough getting a result.
I think it's going to be 3-1 to Brentford. Brentford are on form, and I think that ultimately that probably means that Boro might struggle. But Neil Warnock, mate, you just never know what he can get from his teams. Boro's transfer business has been bang on for me. Yeah. They looked at what they needed, and they got it. And that's how you go about transfer windows for me, particularly that January window. You have to get it right, and if you're going to pick players up, you've got to address what you need and get it in straight away. Yeah. So to finish us off, mate, before we go to Dean's question, we've got our 2 ups and 2 downs for the week. Let's start with the negative. What is your first down of the week?
I'm going to go for Norwich City's player who got sent off against Middlesbrough, which I can't recall his name. I'm going to find it now, though. So it was... I'll get it wrong anyway. So it was Buendia. I just thought it was just very rash. Poor tackle, already on a yellow card. And then to protest his innocence, I just thought it was just really poor. You know what I mean? Just an ill-timed tackle. Didn't need to happen. You know what I mean? You're playing for a side who's in control of a football match, possession-wise, and to do a tackle like that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, I agree, mate. My down is Wycombe Wanderers as a whole, tactically against Brentford to what were they, 4-0 down or something at half-time, or just after half-time. I think they were 4-0 down after 50 minutes, so to not shut up shop then was poor, and they paid for it. But, I suppose on the other hand, they were 4-2. It wasn't 4-0, it was 4-2. But, once you get to sort of 5-2, 6-2, come on. Yeah. Just lock it up a bit. Don't embarrass yourself from a scoreline point of view. Yeah. But, there we go. What's your second down, mate?
My second down is Derby County's second half display against Rotherham. I thought was just disastrous. To let 3 goals in the last 12 minutes against the side in and around you, it's just not good enough. You've got to try and win games. And after the clean sheet on Saturday, to go into a midweek game, for me, in a bigger game, you see the game out. You don't need to go gung ho and you stay the game as long as you can. When you're 1-0 down, yes, stay in the game as long as you can, but don't go 2-3-0 down with 15 minutes, with 12 minutes to go. Just stay in the game as long as you can and nick and equalise the last few minutes.
Yeah, good shout, mate. Good shout. My second down is Cardiff City and the handling of Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, and I would caveat that with general transfer, not activity, but just their methods of transfer. This transfer committee and not having a football person on it, it's not working for me. It needs to be binned and sorted. I got to be honest. That's just my opinion, though, mate, and that's what it's all about, is opinions. Let's go to the positives. What is your first up?
My first positive and my first up is Brentford going forward. 10 goals in a week. It doesn't get any better than that. You know what I mean? 10 goals in 2 games, 7 and a 3. 2 home victories, 3 points. Yes, they're letting 4 goals, but you know what I mean? Must be amazing watching the Brentford, because I thought they were good last year going forward. But this year they look like they've gone to another level again, which is crazy to think.
Yes, madness, isn't it? Especially when you look at the players that they lost over the last year. Just 2 of their best strikers to come back the way they have is impressive. And my first up, I've gone for Middlesbrough's transfer business, because I was being very, very impressed with what they've done. Really impressed. Yeah, I like that. Balassi, Fisher, Mendes Lang, Wing. Wing was out. The other winger, I can't remember his name, but I just think Middlesbrough's transfer business, and Warnock has probably pulled a couple of hats, a couple of rabbits out of the hats there, mate.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What else you got?
I was gonna go for Fisher individually, but for his man of the match display for Middlesbrough. But I've gone for Wycombe Wanderers midweek clean sheet, because I just think after getting beat 7, I think you've got to give credit where credit's due to players, manager. You know what I mean? They'll have been hurting all day Saturday night, all day Sunday, all day Monday, and going into a big game in midweek against Birmingham City, who were no mugs, by the way, as well. With Scott Hogan, Jukovic, etc. going forward. So I think Gareth's got to take some credit for bringing his side back to where they need to be and getting a massive point against a good side.
Yes, indeed. And I've gone for a player as well for the last one. I was torn. I was going to give it to Kiefer Moore for scoring a goal, and I think someone put it in James put it in the chat as well. He scored his 10th goal of the season, but he was injured while he did it. But I went for Bella from Birmingham, and I've just been very impressed with his recent performances.
Yeah,
grabbed a goal to help Birmingham get a draw. Was just happy with it, and good stuff. So that's the ups and downs, mate. So to finish us off, if anyone's got any questions, you can send them in for the next 5 minutes or so. Dean Lawrence asked us, mate, who we think is going to go up and down for the championship. So we'll start with who's going to get relegated, in your opinion.
From the championship, I think. I think Wycombe will go down. Unfortunately, I think the gap is a huge gap so far. I think Rotherham will go, even though they've had a better season. And I've got a feeling Birmingham City might get dragged into it. I don't know why. I just think they've got massive problems there. I think Sheffield Wednesday will get out of it. I think Derby County, Nottingham Forest. There'll be somebody brought into it. I'm not sure who, but I'll go right this minute. I will go Birmingham, Rotherham, and Wycombe.
I would go with. See, my heart, I don't want Wycombe to go down.
Yeah, well, I don't.
But I just think they're 9 points adrift already from the team above them.
11 points out of relegation.
11 from Birmingham. And I look at those 3 teams outside of the relegation zone, Forest, Derby County and Birmingham. They're all very, obviously counting Derby and Forest, they're very good football teams, massive clubs. And
the players are brought in as well.
Yeah, the players they brought in, and also Birmingham are very experienced in the relegation battle. They've been there before, done it. So I think it's going to be difficult. The teams which worry me above that, Cardiff and QPR, both very inconsistent. So they could both go on a bad run and suddenly get sucked into it. Obviously, from a Cardiff point of view, I don't want that to happen. I am worried about it. I'd be lying if I wasn't. Cardiff season's going to go one way or the other for me. They're busy playoffs or relegation. I'm going to go with QPR, QPR, Sheffield Wednesday and Wycombe.
Ooh.
I think one club's going to get sucked into it alongside Wednesday and Wycombe. And I think Rotherham are going to survive. But I'd be interested in what guy people think in the chat, like who you think is going to go down from a championship. Let us know. Right, who do you think, Andy, is going to win the championship this year? Don't say.
I've said Norwich all the time, so I'm gonna stick with Norwich. I think on paper they've got the best players. They've had the best season so far. Yeah, I know that means for nothing towards the end of the season. Still a long way to go, but I still think Norwich will win the league. I'm going to go for Brentford to get automatic promotion because, and it's not because of Swansea, by the way. Before people say, I just think Brentford will have learnt from what happened last year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think they'll be scared of what happens. What happens if they don't go up? And I think Swansea will get promoted in the playoffs.
I agree with that. So I'm going to maybe shock some people, but I'm going to go with I think Brentford will win the league. Similar to what you just said, I think they'll learn from last year. I think the form they're in, they're hitting form at the right time when there's lots of games to be played. So I think Brentford will win the league. I think Swansea will beat Norwich tonight, and then I think Norwich might be on the cusp of having a little bit of a wobble. They've had a massive good run, so they are due like a bit of a wobble. So I'm going to go Brentford first, Swansea second, and I'm going to go with Middlesbrough to win the playoffs.
Oof.
I said it at the start of the season, mate. I said it about like 5 games in that I think that Boro might sneak into the playoffs, and then it's anyone's. So I'm going to go with that. Why not?
I hope you're right.
Kate Child says, who's the next championship manager to get sacked?
Dean Holden from Bristol City.
Yeah.
I just think
they do like sacking managers, though.
They're on a really bad run. They're not scared of sacking a manager. They have plenty. A little bit like the players they've got loads of them, so they've got enough managers to fill in the job. I'd be really disappointed for Dean because I know Dean as well pretty well. I played with him when he was at Bolton Wanderers, and listen, but it's a big job which comes with pressure, and you base yourself on results. And the last 2 games haven't been good enough. They're not scoring enough goals. They're letting goals in quite regularly, and not getting the points that they need to go up that league. Yeah,
it's going to be it's an interesting one, mate, isn't it? Next manager to be sacked, I believe, could be Karanka.
Good shout.
I think he's struggled a little bit.
Good shout, Aitor could be as well. Which, listen, I'd be gutted for Aitor, but we just said that's a results business. It's a results business, and you live and die by the sword.
He hasn't quite got going, have he? No. He hasn't quite got going. Both from a form point of view, and also I feel like they haven't quite established the type of solidity that he brings as a manager. They haven't quite been able to establish that yet, but you never know. So Monday night, 7:30, we'll be back with the football show, and we'll be joined by Ipswich player Tommy. Forgotten his second name.
Miller.
Jesus, sorry,
Tommy
Miller. My mind went blank there, and I was like, who did he play for? Every football club in my mind went through except Ipswich. Yeah, Tommy Miller. I'm looking forward to that, mate. I've got to say, I really am looking forward to that. It's going to be a phenomenal show. And of course, straight after this show, give me 15 minutes or so, we'll be live with Super Kev Unscripted Friday night edition. Always a lot of fun. So grab yourself a wee drink and come join us. Let us take your mind off some stuff. But, for Cardiff fans, I think someone said in the chat, Cardiff fans being spoilt on Ace Podcast Nation tonight. 2 legends, 2 shows, 1 channel. Join us.
Yeah.
And a massive thank you to Black Diamond Sports as ever for all their support. Big, huge thank you to Bespoke Financial for sponsoring the show. And, of course, a big thank you to the legend, the myth himself, Mr. Andrew Campbell. Thank you, my friend.
My pleasure. Loved it as always.
It's going to be. I'm really looking forward to Monday, mate. I really am. The next 3 shows, actually, when we were discussing it the other day, it was like, oh, they're going to be good.
They are. Yeah, I'm looking forward to them. Got some big names coming for everybody.
Reese has just commented. He's just reminded me. So after the show on Monday, we gave a hint, didn't we, about not this one, but the one after. And Reese Evans put a message on the YouTube in the comments. He said, "I've worked out who the legend is, who's played in red and blue." He was really confident, and he said, "It's Chris Gunter." I said, "No, it's not."
No, it's not. Not indeed.
No, it's not. But it's a good guess.
Yes, a very good guess. Very good
It's
guess.
a real good guess. I like that one. But it's not far off, mate. It's not far off in some ways, but not correct. But yeah, Tommy Mellor Monday. Join us. Hopefully I'll see all of you people in about 20 minutes for Super Kev Unscripted, because it's going to be fun. But in the meantime, we will see you next week.
See you guys.
My mummy and daddy have been talking about life insurance. It sounds like something to protect my brother and me, but I don't really understand. Then my Auntie Louise told mummy about Bespoke Financial Teesside. She said they're a local company who helped her with her life insurance. Mummy got in touch, and because they're based locally, a man called Darren was able to come to our house. He was really friendly. Darren stayed for a cup of tea and made it all really easy to understand. He said that life insurance will protect our home and family if anything bad were to happen. Like if mummy or daddy got sick, then we'd get enough money to take care of us, and our house would be paid for so it wouldn't get taken away. After an hour, Darren said goodbye and mummy and daddy seemed a lot happier. Once it was all sorted, we could all relax and watch a film together as a family. I don't know why they didn't do it sooner.
I belong to you. I belong to you. Do just what you want.